Then it's asking about work study. If we go back to the little cheat sheet on the first page with all the financial aid that you'll be considered for, there's asterisks by about 4 types of financial aid. The Supplemental Educational Opportunity Grant, the State Need-Based Grant, the State Tuition Grant, and work study. Each campus has a allotted amount of money. When the money's gone, whether you qualify or not. Work study is a job on campus. It can be in the library, the cafeteria, the admissions office, the gym. It can even be off campus in an elementary school or library. Doesn't matter. It is a job. You're paid for the hours that you work. It's a wonderful opportunity to make extra money where you're not having to work till 11 or 12 o'clock at night and then come home and do your studies. They work around your school schedule, each department. So you're not guaranteed work study, but it's a possibility. I encourage everyone to check yes. Like I said, it's a job, so you'll interview. You do your job, you'll continue. You don't do your job, guess what? You're fired. So that money will not be available, but it is an income coming into the student. So we're clicking next. Another teachable moment. If you're a female, you're going to click female, and it's going to take you to the next slide. However, if you're a male, you got to click male. In order for a young male to receive federal or state financial aid, they must be registered with Selective Service. So, you may have already registered with the DMV when you got your license, or perhaps with voter's registration when you signed up to vote. Those are options there. You may not remember. It doesn't matter. You can always go ahead and register twice. Your name will only be in there once. So most seniors have not registered, so we're going to put no. Would you like to be registered? Click yes, and you'll automatically be registered and sent your voter's registration information. Now, moms will always come up to me and they'll say, but he won't be 18 until next year. Doesn't matter. Go ahead and get it done. That way it's not going to slow his financial aid up. Now we'll hit next. Right now it's asking about your driver's license. Doesn't really matter if you fill this in or not. If you've got a driver's license, you can. If you've got a driver's permit or state ID, you will not. It's not going to stop you from going to the next slide. So we're just going to go next. Foster care. If you were ever in foster care, you need to make sure you identify yourself as yes. Because if you attend a state-supported institution in South Carolina, 2-year or 4-year, you may qualify for extra $4,500 in free money. However, keep in mind, you will have to document this through social services, caseworkers, families you live with. It's a lot of work, but if you were truly in foster care, you want that extra money. Now, the next 2 questions are asking the highest grade level your parents completed. And you'll see it's parent 1 and parent 2. You need to be consistent at this point. And the reason there's parent 1 and parent 2 is because of parents and not knowing exactly who you are. So I'm going to help you. The Department of Education says a parent is adopted parent, biological parent, or step parent. It's not somebody that has custody of you. It's adopted, step, or biological. That means it can be mom and dad, stepdad, mom, dad, dad, mom, mom. So from this point forward, be consistent with what parent is parent 1 and parent 2. This part has absolutely no bearing on your financial aid. They're wanting to know the parent's grade level so the Department of Education can put statistics out. So many college freshmen were first generation college, whatever it may be. Now, in order to get financial aid, you have to graduate from an accredited high school or homeschool program. Of course, Broome is accredited, so you have to put the information in about Broome. And then you're going to hit search. Oh, look at all these schools that popped up. But Broome was on top. So you're going to hit select and then next. And Broome has been entered and it's an accredited institution, so you'll be fine. Now, this is a great part. Where are you going to go to school, or where are you considering going to school? You can release your information up to 10 different schools anywhere in the United States. It doesn't matter. Truck driving school, cosmetology, 2-year, 4-year, public, private, it does not matter. What matters is, I encourage everyone, you may be going to Chapel Hill, that's great, but please put one public school, the one you would most likely attend, and one private school. And the reason being, look back at the first page. You see the ST tuition grant, South Carolina tuition grant. That is for private schools in South Carolina. Walford, Limestone, Spartanburg Methodist, Furman, Columbia College. It's a very liberal grant. It's based on a family of 4 with 1 in college, adjusted gross income up to about $120,000 a year. It is a sliding scale, so there could be more in your household, you can make more money. Last year the grant was worth $3,100. A grant is free money, okay? You don't have to pay it back. So that helps subsidize the cost of a private college's tuition. The great thing about the tuition grant, you could list Charleston Southern University. You could apply to Charleston Southern, you've got that grant at Charleston Southern. The last minute, for whatever reason, you decide, oh, I'm not going to Charleston Southern, I'm going to go to Limestone. It is transferable from Charleston Southern to Limestone. Any financial aid director at the private school can help you get it transferred very easily. Now, the state need-based grant, it's a little different. It's not as conservative. It's on a family of 4, 1 in college, adjusted gross income around $55,000 to $60,000. There again, it is a sliding scale. You have more in the household, make more. The problem with the tuition grant, the state need-based grant is really limited funding, okay? It's up to $2,500 a year, but it's school specific. So if you list College of Charleston and you qualify for the grant at College of Charleston, and at the last minute you decide to go to Upstate, that grant is not transferable. If you don't list Upstate as well as College of Charleston and any other state schools on the FAFSA at this point, apply to these schools to be accepted, the chances are you will not get that grant because it's so limited. So we're going to show you how to list some schools, and we're just going to start with South Carolina schools, since I've stressed South Carolina. And you can do this several ways. After you put the state in, you can put a city, you can put Spartanburg, if you're looking at Spartanburg schools, or Columbia, you can put the school name in. To me, I think it's just easier to put the state and search alphabetically, A through Z, okay? And all I'm caring about is a private and a public school. And Allen is a private school. And Aiken Tech is a public school. Now, I really want to go to Chapel Hill though, or University of Georgia, it doesn't really matter. We're just going to find another state. Let's start with one close by, not so far away. Let's do Georgia, they're close. And we're just going to scroll down, and again, I'm not sure what city the school's in, so I'm just going to hit search. All the schools in Georgia pop up alphabetically. So let's just put Albany State University and do next. I'm only putting 3 schools in. Remember, you can put up to 10 schools at one time in. The next step, you have to identify, are you living on campus, off campus, with parent? The reason you're identifying is there's something called cost of attendance that we're going to talk about in just a few minutes. And then we're clicking next, and we're going to the next part. Now, it's asking your marital status as of today. Folks, I haven't pointed this out, but what I want to point out is at the top left, you'll see a blue tab, and it says Student Information. Every time you click Next, you need to look at that tab and make sure it says Student Information or Parents Information, or you'll be putting your information down incorrectly. And that's going to be a big mess that has to be cleaned up. Up until about 3 years ago, the FAFSA was very colorful. The student did the blue part, the parent did the purple part. Now everything's very plain and bland. So if you don't read these tabs, you could really hurt yourself. The first question is your marital status. Well, mom or dad's going to think they're talking about the parent. They're not. It's a high school senior married. I'm going to put they're single because this is the first phase of questions to determine if the student is dependent on mom and dad. Remember, mom and dad is biological, adopted, or step. Or are they independent on themselves, and if they're married, their spouse. So, we're single. Oh, good question. Do you have children? Does the senior have children? That question should read, if the senior has a child that the senior claimed on their 2018 tax return, you put yes. But if the senior has a child and the senior's parents claim them and the child, or a grandparent claimed the baby, anybody, baby daddy claimed the baby, anybody else claimed that child other than the senior didn't claim the child, the senior didn't get the exemption, the senior doesn't have the benefit. So you would put no there. Also, did the senior have any other dependents on their 2018 tax return? I've never seen that, so we're going to put no. Could be, but that'd be highly unusual. Now, the next series of questions, you only click if you participate or you benefit from this. The first two is asking if you're in the U.S. Armed Forces or are you a veteran. Folks, if you're a member of the junior ROTC at Broome High School and you're going on to college in the ROTC program and you're on the ROTC scholarship and you want to enter once you graduate college as a commissioned officer, I salute you and I thank you for what you're doing for our country. But you are not a veteran, okay? So make sure you do not check that. The next question is asking, since turning 13, has both parents passed away? The next question is asking if your parents have gone to court and emancipated you. Are you an emancipated minor? The next question, does anyone other than your parents or step-parents have legal guardianship over you? Does anyone other than your parents or step-parents have legal guardianship? Does it say, does anyone other than your parents or step-parents have custody? Guardianship and custody are two separate legal documents. South Carolina, up until recently, has not used legal guardianship. They've always used custody. So you need to read the papers really, really closely. And if it says custody, you don't check it because you've messed it up and you're going to have a lot of fixing to do. So unless it says legal guardianship, you leave it alone. The last question is asking none of the above. So I'm just going to click none of the above. But again, if you have one of these, you click it. But keep in mind, you're going to have to prove it. On or after July 1, were you homeless? I read an interesting article today that kind of shocked me, where Spartanburg County has more public school students who are homeless than any other county in South Carolina, and that shocked me. But if you are homeless, and let me define homeless. Homeless is where you're living in a homeless shelter, or homeless is where the school district has you identified under the McKinney Veto Act as homeless, or homeless is where you and your parents are in a shelter. Homeless is not where Thanksgiving holidays is coming up and you take Dad's Ford F-150 out and you're at an underage drinking party and on the way home you run